Welcome to a less structured, lower effort version of my usual stuff. You can tell that because I'm sitting down. In my attempts to try and post more than once every lockdown, I'm gonna try something new. /share probably. Welcome to Donal's Corner, which is A, not a corner, and B, a place where I can sit down and read you some bedtime stories. Or talk about the Queen's Gambit for a while. So sit back, grab yourself a cup of something. I've got my water here. Let's just begin. So chess is a very clever game made for very clever people, so naturally I don't understand it. Is it classified as an esport? All I know is that they made a show about it, featuring Anya Taylor Joy, Dudley, a 12-year-old with a moustache, and Oscar Isaac and Willem Dafoe's son. The Queen's Gambit follows the story of Beth Harmon, a child chess prodigy, as she climbs the ranks to become the world's greatest Master, or something. It's very good and strangely exciting, as I found myself heavily invested in things I just didn't understand. Much like half the topics I've turned into videos on this channel. But no matter how engaging each metaphorical battle scene was, I still hadn't a Scooby-Doo about what was actually happening. I'm a man of simplicities. I see Anya Taylor Joy sweat, I anxious. I see the chess pieces move on the ceiling, I cheer. Chess has always been something I've struggled to understand, and I can't comprehend how geniuses like Magnus Carlsen can think 9 moves ahead. I don't even remember which way the horse goes. I'm more of a checkers guy myself, with my finest moment being a 5-man kill streak in a game I wasn't supposed to be playing. You're all out there playing chess, I'm playing checkers. Anyway, despite my complete lack of knowledge regarding this game, I'd like to sit in my cozy little corner with all you wonderful people who I know are subscribed to this channel and give you a summary of the whole fucking thing. So let's get into it. In the first episode, you meet Beth Harmon, who's being sent to an orphanage after her mother was killed in a car accident. So it's pretty bleak stuff. When she's in the place, she's given tranquilizers to make sure she, along with the other girls, are obedient and docile. Shock horror, a few months later, the government bans giving tranquilizers to children. Sorry kids, no cat for you. While in this orphanage, Liz goes through her first rebellious stage, skipping movie time to go downstairs to the basement to play chess with the janitor, Mr. Scheibel. And he's pretty good at it too. So good that he beats Liz, she calls him a cocksucker, and gets kicked out. Get out. Gentleman's rules. Then eventually she returns to the board the next day, and beats him so badly, he makes her go against 13 boys at once, in order to restore his pride. 1 hour and 13 bruised egos later, Liz has destroyed the chess scene with brains and logic, and so she rewards herself with more cat. Episode 2 begins with Liz, who's now called Beth, being adopted as a teenager, and her saying her final goodbyes to her one closest friend, Jolene. Her new life has just begun. At Beth's first day of school, she gets stopped by the fashion police before asking very bluntly if there's a chess club around. The answer is obviously no. So, Beth decides to fuel her chess addiction by stealing a chess magazine from a local newsagent's. It works successfully, and it gives Beth dates to every single chess competition all around America. She's now ready to fuck shit up and get paid for it too. So a few days have passed, and Beth is now getting ready to appear in her first ever chess competition. This is where she meets Towns, the first love interest of the series. Eventually, after Beth wins in her first 2 rounds, she comes up against him in the 3rd one, and fucking destroys him. Beth does not have time for flirting right now, she's too busy goddamn winning. And with this, she comes up against Dudley in the final, who's become a bit of a nervous wreck ever since his mum got floated away to the moon by Harry Potter. Beth then only further adds to his misery by taking the Kentucky State Championship off him. Son of a bitch. And believe me, she doesn't get any nicer to him throughout the series. It's now episode 3, and Beth is moving up in the world. Quite literally, she's heading north to Cincinnati for another chess tournament. Selflessly, she declares herself to have no weaknesses after beating some chump in round 1. Not if the Russians have anything to say about it. But before we can get to that foreshadowing, we stay in America as we watch Beth claim more heads across the country. This garners the attention of many newspaper journalists as they long to ask her the most important chess questions, like why are you a girl, and what's it like being a woman? So just not what you want, really. Eventually, all this travelling culminates in Vegas, baby, and guess who's there? It's Towns, only this time, he's not jobless. The two strike it up in a hotel room for approximately 2 minutes before realising they have a chess tournament to play. In this tournament, Beth meets the Texas equivalent of 2 kids in a trench coat, and it turns out they're both pretty good at chess. Beth and the other guy, not the 2 kids. His name is Benny, and he casually talks to her about all the mistakes she's made over the years, which is something that quite annoys Beth, as she did say she had no weaknesses. And to prove his point, she loses to him in the final, something that's never happened to her before. Episode 4 begins with Beth being invited to a party. After a lovely night of fun, she wakes up to a bottle of wine and a joint. This marks the start of Beth being cool. And by cool I mean a crippling alcoholic. Anyway, Beth and her mother then fly off to Mexico where they meet with Manuel, Mammy Harmon's kinda pen pal turned lover. Beth has a chess tournament in this area with one slight twist. They invited the Russians, and specifically Big Baddie Borgov, the world's best chess player. Beth blitzes through the first few rounds with ease, while Mammy Harmon is left alone after Manuel declares that he's left for work for however long it takes for them to leave Mexico. That's pretty cold. Eventually, Beth goes on to play a 16-year-old boy called Georgie, who's quite good at chess. So good, in fact, he was labelled as her hardest opponent so far. However, after an adjournment, Beth realises that he is in fact a child and decides to bully him until he resigns. All wins count here, especially when it means she'll be facing Borgov in the final. Borgov then hands Beth the second L of her career with relative Russian ruthlessness. Beth goes back to her room to rant about it to her mother, but in a shocking reveal, we realise her mother has died. And then to further rub salt in the wounds, her own husband decides he wants nothing to do with it. What the fuck? In episode 5, Beth returns to Kentucky and gets a call from a mysterious figure. Just kidding, it's only Dudley again. He's been analysing her game and wants to help her improve. So Beth invites him back to her newly acquired home, and Dudley tells her that he fixed her teeth just for her. And Beth completely ignores him. Eventually, over the days, Dudley awkwardly flirts with her more and more, while Beth continues to give him nothing in return. Then they somehow hook up, which is so surprising not even Dudley expects it, so he just leaves. Later on, Beth goes down to the 1967 Ohio State Championship, where she meets Benny again at a bar. They play a game of speed chess, where Beth loses over and over and over again until Benny essentially bankrupts her. And then lucky for her, she gets to face him off in the final the next day. Beth, fueled by rage, defeats Benny in 30 moves and qualifies for the Moscow Invitational. Benny is angry, but still sportsmanlike, and gives Beth the offer to stay with him in New York to train to face Big Baddie Borgov again. In the penultimate episode, we check out Benny's crib. It looks like a bomb shelter. Benny makes her practice chess constantly until she can master any situation that life or the Russians throw at her. After many long days of chess study, Benny brings his friends over for a party. Beth is finally able to relax and have a good time, and oh wait, it's a speed chess gathering. How fun. Ben then gets what he deserves and loses $90 to Beth as she completely destroys him in speed chess, right in front of all of his chessmates. How embarrassing. We then cut to 1967, where Beth is gearing up for a battle against Borgov in Paris. The night before she's due to go against him in the final, she has one too many drinks with her French friend Cleo and wakes up in a bathtub mere minutes before she's due to face Borgov. Unfortunately, during the game, Beth is too seshed out to continue and has to resign. Lightweight. And to further compound her misery, when she returns home, Daddy's dead, and he means business. Mr. Wheatley, the dick, has brought his lawyer, and he wants to sell the house, even though he specifically told Beth she could keep it. Obviously, she's pissed and attempts to berate him in front of his legal buddy, but eventually she admits defeat and buys the house right off him. Fuck you, Mr. Wheatley. And then later on that day, she gets a knock on the door, and it's none other than Jolene, her best friend from the orphanage. Things are looking up. And now we're at the last episode, the conclusion to the series, the part where shit goes down. Beth is given the motivation to go to Russia and get her shit together by Jolene. Jolene then brings her back to the orphanage where they both grew up, and Beth goes back down to the basement where she first learned to play chess. Here she realises that during her rise to chess prominence, Mr. Scheibel, the janitor who first taught her how to play chess, had been supporting her all the way up to his death. Beth, in a heartwarming moment, realises she's been loved by many people and is given the further motivation to go and fucking defeat Borgov. But first, Beth decides to make things a little bit harder for herself by refusing the funding of a Christians Against Communism organisation. Based. However, this does mean she now can't afford to travel halfway across the globe, and Benny gets pretty angry at her again.
No, you can fucking well go alone.
But it's okay, because Jolene is fucking cash rich from her job as a lawyer and offers to pay for her flights instead. So that's that sorted. Thanks to money, Beth finds herself in Russia with a Secret Services agent following her every move to make sure she doesn't get kidnapped or turned commie or something. As she progresses through the chess tournament, she begins to become somewhat of a local celebrity, with many Russian fans following her every move. just like the Secret Services agent. After defeating Karl Marx in the semis, it's only Big Boss Borgov to face in the final now. This is the moment that Beth's entire chess career is leading up to. The game lasts hours, and eventually they're forced to adjourn right as it gets near to bedtime. In a hotel room, Beth is pretty worried, but her fears are soon erased when no one other than Towns shows up. Together they analyse every single winning move Beth can make, and formulate a plan to get her to win the crown. Borgov is going down. The next day, Beth and Borg resume their game, and Beth is fucking them up. Borgov nervously pleads for a draw, but Beth shakes her head and launches the final blow. Borgov is defeated once and for all, and everyone goes fucking mental. Her call group are jumping around, punching the air, her crowds of fans of Russian people are just swarming around her, and the rest of the world is completely oblivious to what just happened. A sweet end to a great series. So there you go. That was the Queen's Gambit. This was definitely a glass of water, and this will probably be posted about a month after the show actually dies. So if you're still watching this, thank you.